Welcome. You're listening to Ask the Doulas, a podcast where we talk to experts from all over the country about topics related to pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and early parenting. Let's chat.
Hello. This is Kristin Revere with Ask the Doulas, and I am thrilled to chat with Allie Dabbs today. And our topic is all about toddler nap. Allie is a wife and mama to two wildly curious boys and lives in the Nashville area. She graduated from Center for Pediatric Sleep Management in September 2023 and started her business Restful Baby in February 2024. Allie hired a sleep consultant with her firstborn and saw firsthand the benefits of teaching her baby to sleep independently. When pregnant with her second, Allie kept feeling this pull to help other moms navigate a time that feels really, really hard and often isolating. Through working with families, watching her own toddler grow, and taking continued education classes, Allie has developed a love for all things toddler sleep. It is her passion to help exhausted toddler moms work through those big toddler emotions to get their child to sleep through the night and in their own bed. Her approach is to lead with love and take this dreaded thing, bedtime, and also nap time, and turn it into something fun. Since starting her business, Allie has learned a ton about networking and local businesses, marketing herself on social media, and has also launched her own podcast, Allie the Restful Mama. Welcome, Allie.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes, this chat is so important. Even, doulas on my team, and we have 4 sleep consultants at Gold Coast, struggle with getting their toddlers to nap, and the battles that continue when you're dealing with a newborn and trying to get, nap time, an established routine. And so I would love to hear your thoughts on, navigating that very important nap time for toddlers.
Absolutely. Naps can be so tricky. They're a little bit more complex and just a whole thing in and of itself. So I think it's such a great topic.
Absolutely. And I know that nap time affects sleep time. And so it's important to continue that even if you're getting some resistance from your toddler.
Yes. And especially those 2-year-olds that have the whole fear of missing out. It's a real thing for these little guys, and they can really start to fight naps and not want to miss out on anything. And moms, it's just a phase. We have to push through.
Yes. So where to begin, Allie? I would love your tips.
Oh my gosh. So a lot of moms, and I do work primarily with toddlers, even though I do help the little guys, but here kind of, I guess the season of the summer, I've worked with a lot of moms who are expecting second babies, and they are realizing that sleep is going to be a lot harder once they have maybe toddler who's fighting naps and having issues at bedtime. And then you're going to have a new baby and starting all of the middle of the night wakes and feedings, and just the exhaustion multiplies. And so they have those feelings and fears. And so they want to get sleep in a better place before new baby comes. And so I've been working a lot of second or soon to be second time moms wanting to kind of get sleep in a better place for their toddlers, whether it's inconsistent naps or fights at bedtime. For naps for the toddlers, it is so common for a 2-year-old to start protesting, resisting, fighting, having big emotions about nap time for all of those things, not wanting to miss out, feeling like they really don't want to sleep. And a lot of moms are just, okay, my toddler's done napping.
Right.
We made it to 2 years.
Social media all the time. Like, okay, my kids said they're done today. So that's nap time is not a thing anymore.
Yes. And I think that the statistic is 2.5% of 2-year-olds stop napping, but they don't need to. And then it's really the 97.5% are more 4 to 5 years old. And naps come up a lot. And I always tell my moms, really try to get it to 4. If you're getting those nap strikes at 2, like I said, it's just a phase. Keep going. You can get to the other side and naps will get in a better place. And those are some things that I work with my families on, whether there's just a nap strike or just getting naps more consistent. And then I have some tips and tricks too for when it is time to drop the nap closer to 4 or even 5. Some kids are just, they continue to nap later into life, which is awesome. Keep the nap as long as possible, but then some transition tips also for when it is time to drop a nap and kind of getting some quiet time in replace of that nap as well.
That is so important, even for, again, those 3 to 4-year-olds where the mom wants to rest when baby is during the day and there isn't a set nap time, and the child got a very short daycare or preschool phase and may be home during nap time.
Oh, yes. I think it's probably harder for sometimes for the stay-at-home moms, because if they're there and then the little one is, or their toddler is finding naps and they just kind of maybe give up, or they assume, okay, my child's done napping, or they spend an hour or two trying to get them to nap and the nap times pass, versus like
Yes.
daycare having a little bit more structure. And toddlers are so much like monkey see, monkey do, where if the other kids are laying down, even if they kind of have some trouble with nap time, because I have worked with daycares and stuff too to help with that, but they maybe are more likely to lay down just like the other kids are, where they maybe don't do that at home, right?
Absolutely. Yes. As you mentioned, it's more of that imitation. And if that's the routine at daycare and there's not that structure at home, then even on weekends, those routines that are established may go away unless, again, following the patterns of the daycare is something that's done in the household.
Yes. And through sleep training, and whether it's the little guys or the toddlers, my big push is consistency, right? Like we want to make sure that we're being consistent on all fronts, and that way the toddler knows what to expect. If you're maybe enforcing it one day and not the next, then it can be a little confusing and probably frustrating for the child and for the parent, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree, Allie. And what are your thoughts? The theory that if you eliminate the toddler nap during the day, that they will sleep longer at night.
You will very likely find an overtired toddler who missed their nap, is super fussy, extra cranky, giving you a hard time, maybe at dinner or right before bed, or the toddler that gets the second wind and is doing the zoomies all over the house right before bedtime, running around like a crazy person because they're just so tired that they really can't function anymore. And you are more likely to start seeing pushback at bedtime, fighting bedtime harder, or maybe your toddler normally sleeps through the night pretty well, but now they're waking up throughout the night or super early in the morning. And it seems so backwards, but when your child is overtired, it's more disruptive to sleep, and you start seeing other disruptances and early morning wake ups, middle of the night wake ups, or the overall bedtime fights because they're just too tired. And I know it seems so backwards, and I hear a lot of moms say, oh, or grandparents, right? The child's going to sleep so well tonight because I ran them so hard at the park. They didn't take a nap. They're going to be exhausted. And in my head, whenever I hear that, I'm like, oh no, it's going to be a long night. Even for my own mom, when she takes my 3-year-old and maybe he takes like a shorter nap or she skips it, and then they go do all these things and have so much fun. And she's like, oh, he's going to sleep great tonight. And in my head, I'm thinking it's going to be a long night.
Exactly. That is the truth. But yeah, the theory that if you skip it or tire them out, that is going to be an easy night is not reality at all.
Yes. So kind of my tips for if you have the 2-year-old or a 3-year-old who's fighting nap, again, push through, hold on to that nap, keep going, and working on your nap routine, making sure it's consistent with kind of a mini version of what you do at bedtime. I really like the Hatch sound machine because it has a light feature that you can use, and you can change it from your phone. So kind of like the okay to wait clocks, where maybe if you're familiar with that, the light is red overnight while you're supposed to be sleeping. And then in the morning, when you're able to get up and leave the bedroom, the light turns green. I use kind of a modified version of that for nap time, kind of like the stop light, where when the light is red, you need to be actively laying down, trying to sleep. And then the light can change to yellow, maybe 30, 45 minutes into the nap. And then for another 15 to 30 minutes, the light turns yellow. At that point, your toddler can get out of bed. They can play with some quiet okay approved toys in the bedroom that you've already discussed with your toddler. Maybe take out any like really, really loud or crazy toys that they may have, and they can maybe do a puzzle or play with some blocks. Or, if my toddler can't read yet, but he picks up his books and kind of pretends that he's reading, and he'll kind of remember stories that we've told him based on the book, and have some of those things that they can do quietly for the allotted time while the light is yellow. And then when the light turns green, they're able to get up, leave the room, play, nap time is over. And that's, I guess, a bigger thing when we're transitioning away from naps into still having quiet time. Because even if your toddler's 4 and they drop a nap, 12 to 13 hours in a day is a long time without any rest for your toddler, especially one, or I guess big little kid, especially when they're used to having that nap. So from napping even an hour a day to nothing can be really hard and kind of have those fussy, cranky evenings. Whereas if you start implementing quiet time, even after they are old enough to drop that nap, it can kind of help get you through the rest of the day. And so when you have that 2 or 3-year-old that's fighting it, if we are working through on getting naps more consistent or pushing through that nap strike, we're going to be following kind of the same steps that we're doing in maybe a sleep plan overnight. But if they're really fighting it, I would much rather you implement the quiet time than skip it altogether.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. So what other tips do you have for families who are trying to navigate the stressful time, or if there's a caregiver in the house and say an au pair or a nanny, how do you work with families where other people need to implement day and or overnight plans?
Great question. My answer for both would be communication. One of the reasons that I absolutely love working with toddlers is because they can communicate with you. They can be involved in the decision making. They can really get into the process, whether it's overnight, fixing bedtime, or working through nap problems. You can really get them on board and involved in such a different way than we can with the little babies that are working through sleep training. And same with daycare or nannies, or maybe grandparents are helping out, is that I find a lot of times people really want to help. If you go to your daycare provider and you let them know, hey, this is kind of what we're going through, this is what we're working on at home, more times than not, they are on board and they want to help you. They want to do the same things that you're doing at home, or tell you what they're doing there, and that way you can kind of mimic what they're doing a little bit on the weekends. Same with a nanny coming into your home. I think just communication goes a really long way, and letting them know what you're working on and why it's so important. And then again, same with the little kids. My big push is every time I work with a family, when it's the toddlers, I want every family that I work with to call a family meeting. Let the child know what's expected at bedtime or nap time and why it's so important. I send little videos to the toddlers that I work with, and it's, hi, I'm Allie. I've been working with your mommy. And, I talk about why sleep is so important for your bodies and all of these things. And they really, really get into it. And that gets them really excited about it. And then if you're also talking to them about it in a positive way, and not this like, well, this is what we do at nap time, but you can make it really fun. You can have it where they send videos to grandparents after nap time to say, I waited for my light to turn green, or whatever it is that you're working on. And then when that goal is reached, celebrate it. Let them call grandparents. Let them call aunts and uncles. Tell, if they're in daycare, they can tell their teacher in the morning, or, whatever it is. Or if you're working with a sleep trainer and they do send videos back and forth like me, then I love getting videos back from my toddlers, especially when they're so excited because they've reached that goal. It's a big deal for them.
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned grandparents, Allie, because grandparents are often caregivers now that we're in this childcare shortage and inflation. It's hard to afford childcare. So it can be challenging for grandparents who are used to parenting a certain way to follow your individual family goals that may differ from even their other children and how their other grandkids sleep or don't handle nap time, for example.
Hey, Alyssa here. I'm just popping in to tell you about our course called Becoming. Becoming a Mother is your guide to a confident pregnancy and birth, all in a convenient 6-week online program. From birth plans to sleep training and everything in between, you'll gain the confidence and skills you need for a smooth transition to motherhood. live coaching calls with me and Kristin, tons of expert videos including chiropractic care, pelvic floor physical therapy, mental health experts, breastfeeding, and so much more. You'll also get a private Facebook community with other mothers going through this at the same time as you to offer support and encouragement when you need it most. If you'd like to learn more about the course, you can email us at info@goldcoastdoulas.com or check it out at thebecomingcourse.com. We would love to see you there. We also have a book called Supported, Your Guide to Birth and Baby, which makes a beautiful companion to this course. It's a great book for any expecting mother and is the perfect baby shower gift. You can find information on that book at supportedbook.com.
Absolutely. I've definitely worked with families who had the maybe over opinionated mother-in-law who was, we didn't do this whenever I was raising your husband or whatever, or
Yeah.
their own moms are like, well, you didn't sleep like that. Like, you were fine. Look how you turned out. But again, I think talking to them and kind of meeting them where they are, and I know people are different. They were be a little than not, I think that people are really on board with helping, especially if they know why. If you tell them, look, my little guy is waking up 7 times a night, even if only briefly, they're getting up out of bed, they're coming into my room, like, I'm just so tired. We really have to work through this. And even if it's going to be a week or 2 weeks of a push, we're going to come out on the other side and let them know, like, hey, this is temporary. And yes, like I'm not the sleep consultant who's super rigid and strict, and nothing has to be so serious. I'm all about having fun with it. And a lot of moms come to me and they're like, I want to do this, but I want to be able to still have my toddler in my bed with me sometimes. Like, I want to still be able to snuggle with my baby. And I am all for that. And I think when those are the exceptions, that's different than the norm. And we can get sleep in a better place. And then every now and then you can still have those fun nights, maybe where it's storming or the little one's sick, or it's just like a family fun night and we watched a movie and we're going to stick you in bed with us just because.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what is the benefit to working with a sleep consultant or coach like yourself versus reading a book or going through a program that is not customized the way you're talking about, meeting individual needs and so on?
Oh my gosh, great question. So for all of the information out there on Google, there is a million things. You can type in one question about your little one's sleep and you're going to get a million different answers, a bunch of different ways to treat that issue. It can be really overwhelming. You're asking, maybe your girlfriends what worked with their kiddos. You're in Facebook mom groups, kind of stalking all the questions and trying to find the answers, but every kid is different. So what worked for your best friend or another mom in a Facebook mom group might not work for yours. And then for those custom sleep plans, or those generic sleep plans, I should say, you can type in a 6-month sleep plan or a sleep plan for a 6-month-old, and something's gonna come out. They're gonna spit out something. But what if you are the working mom and that sleep plan says your baby wakes up at 7:30, but you have to be out of the house by 6:45? That now has skewed the whole schedule. That doesn't work for you. If it has these nap schedules, but daycare doesn't do that, doesn't take into account what you're going through. It also doesn't take into account what sleep issues you have. And more importantly, is what sleep goals do you have? What are you wanting to achieve out of this? I can come up with a sleep plan based on age. But my number one is I want to know that mom or dad's sleep goals. What are they actually working towards? Because if I give them a sleep plan, yeah, it'll get your baby sleeping, but maybe you had something more specific in mind that you're really, really wanting to focus on those 5:30 a.m. wake ups, or you're still breastfeeding and you want to be able to do that through the night, which I'm all for. Those custom sleep plans really get to the heart at what are you going through and what is your child respond to. I worked with 2 kiddos this summer, different families, same age, a boy and a girl, and we worked on different things, but I really try to get what motivates the toddler, right? And then kind of going more towards, let's have fun with it. Let's get them involved. Let's see what they respond to. And the little boy, he was working towards being able to go get a Build-A-Bear. And so he had a sticker chart and he was working towards earning there. He went to Build-A-Bear. He got to pick out his stuffed animal. He was telling all the workers, learned how to sleep in his own bed because he was sleeping on the couch with mom and then being moved into mom and dad's bed after he fell asleep. And he was so excited. And I got videos all the time for him. He was really, really into it. Whereas at the same time, the little girl I was working with, same age, she told her mom that she could throw that sticker chart in the trash. She didn't want it. She didn't need any more toys. So then we switched gears to say, okay, well, if we were working on like the okay to wake sleeping in, because she was getting up at like 4:45 every morning. And so we were trying to get that closer to 6:30. And she said we were going to do it where she had a date with mom. They could go have like a pancake breakfast or something, just the two of them. And she was like, I spent enough time with you. And so she was not for any of these little like rewards that we were coming up with. So we had to really get creative. And what does she want? What will she respond to where she's going to work towards that? And we figured it out. It was pretty funny, but it just goes to show you, like, kids respond differently. They work towards things differently. They have different motivators. They're just all so different and just so special.
They are. So now I'm invested. What was her motivator?
Candy. It was so funny. So I pulled out all the stops for this little girl. They were so funny. They were cracking me up. But we did bedtime passes. And so she would get so many bedtime passes at night. And then if she kept them, however many, so say she had 3 bedtime passes. If she got up in the middle of the night, mom would take one of her bedtime passes away. And then if she exhausted them, she didn't have any in the morning. But if she still had 1 or 2, she could trade them in for something. And she didn't care about it. She was getting up all the time. And so I was like, give her extra bedtime passes. That way, the goal being, we want her to be successful. We want her to win. We don't want her to go all night and not have any, because we want her to learn that if she keeps a pass, she gets something. And for a temporary basis as she's working towards later sleeping. And so shifted it to candy, because the mom said she really likes sweets. And I was like, well, if you're okay with her having like maybe some M&Ms in the morning, like, let's just try it. And this little girl, we told her the night before, she had her bedtime passes. She knew what she was going to get if she kept them. She kept every single one of them. She didn't get up one time. And then when her light turned green, she ran out of the room and she was like, I get candy.
Oh, so funny.
Yes.
I love it. And I think it's so unique that you're in the thick of it with your own kids, so you can be so relatable to your clients.
Yeah, we have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, both boys. And so it has been neat kind of being back in the baby days and everything with his multiple naps and following wake windows and all of that. And gosh, we finally got him. Now he's down to 1 nap a day. And so they nap kind of together, whereas before, and my baby would nap twice a day. So from like 10:30 to 12, and then my toddler would go down. And then when my toddler would wake up, go every day, one of my children were napping. And just like, we didn't leave the house. We couldn't do anything because we really don't want to mess up nap time. And it was, I don't know, it felt crazy. And I was like, I'm so glad that now they're kind of napping once a day at the same time. And it's really opened up some of that time for us to go and do things again.
That's perfect. So any final tips for our listeners, Allie?
What I tell every single mom is just give yourself some grace. It is super hard. Momhood life is insane and it's amazing and wonderful and beautiful, but it's also very challenging, and you question yourself and you're always wanting to be the best, and you are the best person, the best mom for your kid. Lean into that and it will all be okay.
Agreed. Great advice. So how can our listeners find you?
The easiest way is Instagram. I am Allie_sleep consultant, ALY_sleep consultant. Super easy to find there. Give me a follow. And then my website is restfulbaby.com. I know you mentioned it earlier, but I do have a podcast, Allie, the Restful Mama, on Apple, Spotify, wherever. And it's just all things momhood and sleep. And I also have my sleep packages. And if you guys are listening, you can just let me know that you found me from Kristin and would do $50 off.
Excellent. What a gift. And as you mentioned, you live in the Nashville area, but you work with clients all over the country, correct?
Yes, that is the beauty of it. I've worked with people in New York and Texas and California. Everything is virtual. So we get on, regular phone calls, FaceTime, texting. It kind of just depends. Some moms are anti-phone calls, which I get. It's so much easier to text. That's totally fine. And then I also send videos back and forth with mom's permission for their little one to be involved, and email over like sleep plans and all of that good stuff. So, yep, all virtual. Wherever you are, we can work together.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Allie. Appreciate all of your wisdom today.
Yes, thank you so much. This was so fun. Thanks for having me.
Of course, we'll have to chat again.
Thanks for listening to Ask the Doulas. For more information about Gold Coast Doulas, visit us on our website, goldcoastdoulas.com. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Thank you. Remember, these moments are golden.